Hello everyone, welcome to the dialogue part of chapter 9. You have seen me in the previous chapters that I was providing my perception on some of the core concepts of Confucian philosophy, but in this chapter it's going to be a little different. This chapter is our last chapter and it is about the sage and the way. I have spent long time to read about this chapter and to understand it. But today I have got a chance to be here with you and with Professor Hong. So I had compiled some questions that I would like to ask you. I know this is a very profound chapter and we cannot provide the perfect interpretation, but we will try our best. And also I have some understanding of my own, but I would also like to ask you
We may discuss.
We may discuss and we may provide our understanding.
Yes.
So my first question to you is that when we talk about the sage and the way, why do we talk about them together? Like the way and the sage are similar, or how would you like to explain it?
Yes, it's strange why we put these two together, sage and the way. And in Chinese, we have a beautiful Chinese 圣人问道. So the reason why we put these two together, because to me, the sage is a supreme standard that we common people can look at, even though we recognize that it's so difficult task for us to transform to the sage. But still it's meaningful and significant to look at the standard so that see it as an impetus behind everyone and to advance, to perfect ourselves. So that is a sage. And on the other hand, the way. In Taoist is called Dao, or sometimes in previous lectures we call it the principle. So it seems to us that the way is always full of mystery. Profound, so profound. It's like a beautiful vision far away. Okay, so as a matter of fact, in the Taoist perception, and the way of the Tao has something to do with the cosmic world. So actually, most of the Taoist theory are about the study on cosmic world. So that should be kind of the origin of everything. It's the highest and origin and the spring of the universe. So when these two join together, I think, well, it might bring us a harmonious coexistence between human beings as one entity and the universe as a big entity.
So as I understood that you think that the human beings and the cosmic world are related somehow. And I would agree, because some scholars have translated the word Tao as the higher being or the way of heaven. Because when we say it, some people just say it the way, some people say it higher being, some people say it the way of heaven. So my next question to you is that, is the way of heaven and the way of humans are same, or how would you comment on it?
Yes, indeed. A good question. The way of the heaven and the way of the human. There's a difference. And but talking about the way, it's when it's applied into practice, it's like a code of behavior. Okay, to give people's instruction in their daily life. And also in the political sense, it's a kind of the practice of the government, okay, to govern the state. Yes, indeed, there is the way of heaven and the way of the man. And also there is a difference between these two. So when we talk about the way of heaven, it always be on the side of kindness. And it always take away what is in excess to make good what is deficient. The way of man, on the other hand, just opposite. He always take from those who are in want of, and to give those who are already had enough. So this is unbiased. the way of heaven is unbiased, but the way of the man is biased. So
do you mean that a man will only become a sage when he will be able to follow the way? Exactly. So let's talk a little bit about the personality of the sage, because the sage becomes a sage after following the way. So how would you like?
Well, before that, I would add something about the way. And when we look at today's world, it's full of disputes and conflicts. And well, there must be some way to work it out to bring peace to the world. So when we talk about this way, the way of heaven, so might be a kind of a universal kind of a way that people from a different culture background have this same recognition about the importance of this uniqueness, this oneness, which can solve all these disputes. So that's something I would like to add. And now you're talking about the sage. Yes, personalities of the sage. And indeed, I remember one sentence and talking about a sage. He has like 3 treasures to cherish. One is the compassion, and the other is the frugality, and the third, guess what? And he dare not to take the lead of the people. So, which shows his humbleness. And in other texts, and the sage claims no glory, claims no authority, and he just lets everything goes naturally. So it's all about his personality, and also about his self-discipline, about like 5 colors, those outward external attractions. He tried to discipline himself. So yes, it's true.
So he's not distracted by the colorful world and all the distractions available there. Okay, so I have something here to add. When I was reading the Tao Te Ching, and there's one saying that when higher people hear about the way, they practice it diligently. When average people hear about the way, they sometimes believe it and sometimes disbelieve it. When lower people hear about the way, they laugh and ignore it. If it is not laughed by such people, it is not the way. The last part here. What do you think about this? If it is not laughed by such people, it is not the way. Do you think that it is something more greater, which is sometimes this lower people are unable to understand, so then they laugh about it. They think that this is something not achievable. This is something that only exists in the books.
Yes, just like what we learned in the chapter about aspiration and learning. The Confucius also mentioned like 4 types of people, those who were born with knowledge and learn with knowledge, and be perplexed and to learn, and with perplexed and not to learn. So likewise, when we talk about Tao, because as I said, Tao is a supreme kind of target of there, or the oneness is full of mystery. And so when we talk about this Tao, of course, not everybody will accept it as the origin or as a spring of their life. And as you said, some of them may say, well, it has nothing to do with me. But still, back to my original sentence about the sage, even though we think it's not an easy job to become a sage, but have a standard, supreme standard in front of us, it makes us more more like hopeful for the future development. So the way is the same. When you say, well, those people have no sense about the way, and of course he will laugh at it. Yeah.
And here I would like to talk about the life of Confucius, because he was said to be the greatest sage of all times. Do you agree? Of course, right? He was the greatest sage of all times.
Yes, of course.
Yes. So I would talk about his one of his life incident when he was termed as not to be very successful politician. Why? Because those powerful people were afraid to accept his ideas. Maybe because they were afraid that maybe all the spotlight will be given to Confucius. But still, even though he was not being appreciated by those people, he was very successful as a great leader and as a great teacher. There were so many disciples who carried out his ideas and spread it to the world, and they were highly influenced by his personality. So what do you think? I think that it was because he followed the way, and because his ideas were great, although there were people who were not ready to accept them, but it did not stop him to to spread them, and to become great.
Yes, indeed. And he himself, as I said, is a good example, and her perseverance and make him great. And also he emphasized many times about it is the man who make the way great. It's not the way make the man great. So that sounds very contradictory with the way we just now explained. So actually, Confucius focused more about the man, how to educate men, how to make them become a true man. While the Taoist, when they talk about, as I said, has more relation with the cosmic idea, cosmic world. So basically, he would let everything go naturally. But one commonality among these two is about the way is unbiased, and the way is something that, is like a divine power. Everybody is bestowed with such divine power, but the only difference is that some people recognize it and practice it until the end of their life, and some of them, they do not recognize it, even though they recognize it, but they're too lazy to practice it. So another thing which matters is about the way you recognize your potential. You recognize that you are endowed with such a divine power. But what matters more, you need to practice ceaselessly.
Yes.
And until you get that supreme goal.
Level.
Yeah.
So I think it perfectly explains the thing that you were talking about, that the way does not make the man great, but the man makes the way great. Because later you mentioned about the practice. So the way, I believe that the way is great already. But if nobody is there to practice it, then it will not be great. So I think this is the a task of the human beings to make it great by practicing it.
Yes, indeed. Yes. And just like what we talk about when we talk about look at the world today, and we cannot let it happen. And we, human beings, we should take our initiative with a good sense of the way, with practicing the way, and to solve the problem. Yeah. Yes.
So there is, because in the last chapter we talked about the governance thing. What do you think that this, the way of heaven, can it help us, or not help us, but the rulers or the head of the state to govern in a more better way?
Yes, as long as the rulers believe that he's got a potential inside him, and he needs to discover and cultivate it. That means the kindness, and then he always nurture himself with this power from the heaven. But actually, when we talk about we're seeking for help from the heaven, do you believe that is a kind of power from outside? No, actually it is from within, because you have this belief that you have a divine power within, although it seemingly like from the outside. So it's all about your own recognition, your own kind of determination to have this way and practice the way. So it's not really from outside. I don't believe so. I'm not sure about you.
Yes, I believe, I agree to this. Thank you so much for providing the answers to my questions, and I hope that the viewers might also feel that they might also have these questions in their minds, and if you have provided the answer, then they might be happy too. So thank you so much once again for providing the answers.
So this is the end of chapter 9, The Sage and the Way. We try our best to answer or maybe discuss about this a big topic. So thank Hermé again, because this is the last chapter for Hermei to join us discussion, and thank you for your all cooperation and all understanding. You have a very good understanding about Confucius. I guess that you must have spent a long time studying in Confucius.
But I'm thankful to you that whenever I have any query, you are ready to answer me. And this course has helped us, and also provided us to share our understanding. So I'm glad to be a part of it.
Thank you. So don't forget to come back soon. So in later chapters, you are going to learn more about the forms of Chinese traditional culture, like you will have like the tea ceremony and Chinese calligraphy and Chinese traditional music. So hope you will enjoy it. See you soon.